When I first started in sound design, I didn't know it could be so challenging. But since I began this journey, I've been lucky enough to work on games like Hyper Light Drifter, Outer Wilds Echoes of the Eye, and even win a Peabody Award for my work on We Are OFK. But it was kind of a grind to build this career. There are some things I wish I could have done smarter and more efficiently. So to make sure you can become a game audio professional much quicker and easier, here are 5 lessons I've learned over the years that are sure to help you. Lesson number 1. Way back in 2016, I was giving a talk about my work on the game Hyper Light Drifter in Los Angeles. Once I had finished my speech, I went down into the audience and started to mingle, as I always like to do. It's my favorite part, actually, of giving a talk. At one point, a composer that I actually knew from the internet came up to me to chat. I noticed he kind of had a hangdog expression on his face with his shoulders all slumped, and he looked kind of bedraggled and sad when he approached. He asked me if I knew anyone who was hiring a composer at that point in time. He was really struggling to find any sort of work at all. I gave him some advice and then he went on his way. Immediately after that composer left, a well-known game developer within the Los Angeles indie scene approached me. This indie game developer asked me if I knew any composers at all that he could work with. He was struggling to find any musicians to work on any of his projects. Now, let's just pause here for a second, because in Los Angeles, everybody is a composer. Your Lyft driver is a composer, your next door neighbor is a composer, your dog is a composer, and your composer is a composer. Everybody is a composer. And this developer could not find anyone to work with at all. And so this is what lesson 1 is all about. Your resume, degree, reel, and even skill only matter so much, but your network and visibility matter much, much more. This composer that I just talked to's problem wasn't that he wasn't skilled enough. His music was really good. It's that nobody knew he existed. No one even knew he could be hired because he didn't go out to these networking events very often and didn't make a name for himself as someone who could be trusted and worked with. The professionals that are watching this video can confirm that they've been hired many times by people who have never listened to their work before. They just met you, liked you, and hired you on the spot. Maybe they even got a referral from a friend, or they just thought you were nice and then brought you onto a project. This is how the game industry actually works. It's friends hiring friends, not people hiring resumes. So no matter how good you are, you absolutely have to meet people, whether it be online or off, no matter where in the world you are. Show up to whatever events you can and do it consistently. Doing it just once doesn't count. Look for your local chapter of the International Game Developers Association, or use websites like meetup.com to find any sort of game development meetups near you. Or you can even look up discords for the game development communities that are near or around you, or even in your general country. And don't just stick to the audio ones. Go to the ones that have nothing to do with sound or music. Join those and show up to their meetups, their events, and their Q&A sessions. That's how you meet people who are going to work with you. Now, this is all a lot easier said than done, and you'll likely have to show up for a lot longer than you think you need to before you gain any traction at all. But if you don't, then the odds of you having a career in game audio or any creative, competitive field like this gets smaller and smaller. I've put a bunch of resources to help you with your networking down in the description below, so check those out. And if you're a fellow introvert like me, you might be feeling a bit anxious at the idea of needing to go out and meet people, whether it be in person or even online. And I totally get it. These events can be scary at first, but you'll quickly realize that the game industry is probably the most friendly creative field out there, period. Anyone who's just entering from another field like film or TV, which is really cutthroat and mean and kind of gross, a lot of them will say, "Oh my God, everyone in games is so nice." And it's true, people generally are. So put yourself out there, however you can and wherever you can. All right, time for lesson 2. Now, even though your network and visibility probably matter more than anything, that doesn't mean you can just sit around and not improve your skills at all. You do need to at least get pretty decent at this audio thing if you want to get hired consistently. And to get good, we need to work on stuff. We need to learn the ropes. We need to learn how a game is made. Maybe we even do some entry-level jobs to start learning how things are done. But you've probably noticed that there are practically 0 entry-level positions in game audio, and and essentially no internship opportunities at all. And those few entry-level positions that do exist require 73 years of experience, 44 shipped AAA titles, and top-level necromancy skills. And that's probably just to start at the bottom level of a company that's going to lay you off the second that Microsoft buys them. So if there are no entry-level jobs, but you need experience to get whatever jobs are out there, how the hell do you even start? Well, that's what lesson number 2 is all about. You have to generate your own experience. Now, on top of making your network improve massively, like we talked about in the last lesson, you are going to need to drastically improve your skills and generate your own experience so that these more prestigious teams and jobs hire you. But how do you generate your own experience? Well, I'm glad you asked. First off, if you're a beginner, I recommend attending game jams. These are time-limited events, usually 48 to 72 hours, where people get together and make a real clunker of a game in that period of time, usually based around some central theme. The games that come out of these game jams usually aren't good or done in any capacity, but they show a kind of microcosm of how it is to work on a game. Also, you get to meet a lot of other developers doing this. And sometimes those games get worked on after the game jam is done and become extremely successful. A great resource to find a game jam near you in person or online anywhere in the world is indiegamejams.com. When you go there, you'll see there are many game jams happening at any given time. Ones with different genres, different lengths, different schedules, so you're sure to find something that suits you, your location, and your schedule. But no matter what you do, make sure you don't overlook the global game jam that happens every year in January. This is when the entire world gets together to create a game based around a central theme that everybody is working off of. They have locations online and off, and it's how I got my start in the game industry. Another way to generate your own experience is to make little micro projects based off of all the immense amount of free resources that are out there. Unlike when I started, there's a massive amount of resources out there to teach you all the technical skills in game audio. So if you want to learn how to, say, create a neat layered gunshot system in Wise and Unreal, the resources are out there, but you do need to create these little micro projects based off of what you're curious about learning so that you can generate that experience. I recommend starting with the free resources that the folks at Audiokinetic, the company that makes Wise, have out there. If you want to learn audio implementation, I think their free courses are the best place to start. And then from there, you can branch out to learning Fmod and Unreal and Unity and all the other stuff that exists. Again, I'll put some links in the description below. As a final idea, you can also do what I'm doing right now, and that's create resources for other people. That's what my friend and audio YouTuber extraordinaire, Marshall McGee, did to get his break in the industry. You can hear his full story on my podcast where I interviewed him, but essentially he started making incredibly detailed audio breakdowns and tutorials. Those videos caught the eye of many audio pros right away.
I said, hey, here's my work, here's my YouTube channel. And so I only got one response, and it was my future manager, Jason Cantor at Avalanche, who said, the videos were cool, like, you want to stop by and whatever. And so I said, yeah, and it became a thing.
Those videos separated him from the pack immediately, not only because the videos were super well made and super well edited, but also because it showed that he was willing to do the work without an employer telling him to do so. He wasn't just passively sitting around waiting for opportunity to fall from the sky. And that alone is very impressive. It also showed his expertise and showed that he could be somebody who could be worked with, all without a reel or a resume. Suffice to say, he was able to get his first gigs much easier than just some random sound designer who just had a generic resume applying to a studio would have. While these ways of creating your own experience aren't a perfect encapsulation of what it's like to work on a real game dev team that ships actual games, the idea of making something, anything, and putting it out into the world, or sharing your expertise in some way, or doing something without an employer telling you to do it is insanely impressive. Almost nobody does it. So when no one's able to give you work experience, create your own. Now it's time for lesson 3. Many of you know I do a lot of online teaching, whether it be through my courses, my cohorts, or even my one-on-one students. And there's something I have to walk pretty much all of my students through every day. And I get why. No schools really teach this or talk about it at all. But ignoring it is going to be very harmful to basically everyone's careers. Which leads us to lesson 3. At the end of the day, almost no one hiring you cares about your audio, at least not in the way you think. Yes, these people want to have good music and good sound in their game, of course. But the developers and directors that you talk to aren't kept up at night worrying about the Armor Foley system in their game. They have so many other hopes, dreams, and fears for their games, and let's face it, at the end of the day, audio is at the bottom of that list. Most developers, even AAA ones with huge budgets, haven't even considered it. And if they studied game development in college, it's practically guaranteed they didn't even have a single class on audio. Instead, the people that you're going to be working with are worried if the game will sell well, if the marketing is going to go fine, if the name of the game is good, how everyone is going to get paid, and so many other issues. So if game developers don't really care about audio in the sense that we think they do, are we just doomed to be underpaid and ignored forever? Thankfully, no. Even though a lot of developers aren't spending their nights listening to audio and doing deep dives and listening to demo reels for fun, it doesn't mean we need to lose all hope. It just means we need to frame our audio in such a way that speaks to the developers and directors and teams that we're working with, instead of just coming at it from the angle of, but it will sound good. While they may not care about how unbelievably accurate our horse poop sounds are, they do care about a lot of other things. They care if the game is polished enough to pitch to publishers. They care if they can show it off at the next convention. They care if the game is going to get done on time. They care if they need to worry about every single member of the team. And they care about having more time for themselves so they don't go insane trying to do everything on their own. So instead of just saying, I'm good at sound, and having that land on ironically deaf ears, we can start framing our audio work in a way that makes it so that developers and directors understand what value we can provide to them. And to do that, we just need to ask ourselves, what's in it for them? What does good audio get them? Off the top of my head, it gets them time, it gets them polish, it can enhance their marketing, and it can even help them get funding. These are all things that audio people don't think that they contribute to, but the truth is, we do. So be sure to keep in mind that you don't just make sound or make music. Even as an audio person, you can make sure that the game as a whole gets funded, polished, and out the door. Now let's talk about lesson number 4, which we've all heard 1,000 times, but it bears repeating. Don't skip this one. As audio folks create games over the years, a lot of us amass a lot of fancy stuff. Whether it be microphones or plugins or, God forbid, Eurorack synths. My heart goes out to those of you with synthesizer and hardware addictions. I'm sure there's a number you can call to get help. You and your loved ones deserve better. But if you talk to the pros, you'll learn that sure, they have some neat stuff here and there, but ultimately, they're still using the basics. They're still using pitch shifters and compressors and just the same old DAW that you use. Heck, a lot of them are even using stock plugins that come with their DAW, myself included. I still use the pitch shifter and all the other plugins that come with Reaper on a daily basis. Yes, the stock, non-fancy ones. Pros tend to rely more on their skill set than the actual gear. While the gear is nice to have, it doesn't replace skill. Heck, I even still use Audacity, yes, that Audacity, almost every day. And even for my work on Hyperlight Drifter, I use the stock Logic plugins throughout that entire project. So lesson number 4 is simple. Beyond the basics, you don't need anything fancy. So what are the basics you do need? Well, really, you need some sort of computer, whether it be a phone or a tablet or laptop or desktop, Mac, PC, it doesn't matter. You need a DAW and some free sound effects and some plugins, and you're good to go. You can get a field recorder if you're so inclined, but honestly, most people don't need that to start with. For a DAW, I recommend getting Reaper. It's really fairly priced, it's super customizable, so many people in game audio use it, and it's just lovely, and there's so many tutorials out there, including mine. But honestly, it doesn't matter which one you use, just use whatever you prefer. Except Pro Tools. Nobody likes Pro Tools, and anyone who says they do is a liar. And cue the angry comments from people who can't take a joke. Typical Pro Tools users. As for free sound effects libraries, the Sonos GDC bundles offer hundreds of gigabytes of AAA quality sound with no catches. You can just download them and get them. There's no excuse not to have them. There's also the free game audio bundle from Pro Sound Effects, which again, just get them. There's no reason not to have them. There are also the wonderful sounds available from the fine folks at Free to Use Sounds. Oh, and there are even great free sound effects that come with the sound effects library app Soundly. There's just so much stuff out there for free now, and you can have a full sound effects library of hundreds of gigabytes basically immediately and for free. As for free plugins, there are tons more than what I'm going to mention in this video. But the Kilohertz Essentials bundle is amazing and will give you everything you need to create basically any sound you want. There's also the M-Free FX bundle from Melda Production, which also gives you a bunch of core plugins to work with, totally for free. Oh, and there's even the Valhalla echoes and delays that you can get for free. There's just so much, and I'll put links in the description below to help. And if you're looking for a free, fantastic, very easy to use synthesizer, I recommend Vital. It does basically what every other synthesizer does. It sounds fantastic, has a great interface, and I even have a course on how to use it and make great sound effects with it down in the description below. As you can see, you really don't need to spend much at all to have an amazing setup right away. And lastly, let's go on to lesson 5. When I was first starting out in this field, there was a secret advantage I had that I didn't know I had. And no, it wasn't even my powerful eyebrows or my lustrous hair. You see, when I was getting ready for my first ever game developers conference in San Francisco, an industry legend that you know the name of told me, don't expect to get any work from GDC at all. That's just not how it works. But contrary to his advice, I walked out of my first ever game developers conference with 6 projects. Now, these were tiny projects, they didn't pay much, but they were something. They're way more than I thought I was gonna get. And the way I was able to do this is what lesson 5 is all about, which is learn everything you can about game development. You see, back when I was getting started, I was able to go out there and network and actually talk to game developers about game development beyond just audio. I could speak from their points of view, and most people couldn't tell I was an audio person until I told them I was. It's kind of like a little secret audio spy. Because I wasn't just mired in my silo of audio, I was able to have full-on conversations with people from every discipline, and this is something I still like to do to this day. This doesn't mean I know how to make a game in every sort of discipline from scratch, or I'm some sort of master. I just have an interest in what other people are up to. And when you're more interested in other people, they're more interested in you. So don't make the mistake of what most audio people do, where they hide in their cave and hiss at the sun whenever it comes by and only think about audio. Work doesn't come very often to people like that, especially because a lot of people don't want to talk to someone who can only talk about one little thing. So how do you develop this curiosity and knowledge of other people and other skill sets within the game industry? Thankfully, it's super easy. What I recommend you do is go onto the free GDC Vault YouTube channel and listen to or watch any sort of talk you're interested in. They have tons of talks from people who have made games that you know and you love from all sorts of disciplines and angles. For example, if you want to learn about the level design of God of War or the animation system in Spider-Man 2, you can. Find a topic you're interested in, even loosely, and just dive in. You might not even understand 90% of what they're saying, and that's totally fine. As you go, you'll pick up terms and ideas and thoughts through osmosis, and will be able to ask better questions and talk to people from other game development disciplines much, much easier than most other audio people ever can. Because you're becoming more well-rounded, this can only help you, and again, will help you slot into a game development team much easier and have people want to work with you because they know you know what you're doing, and they know you know how to work with every other department instead of just audio. So those are 5 beginner lessons for those of you who want to actually become a pro in game audio. And if you're really serious about being a pro, I have a free newsletter that you can sign up to where I give you advice, free sound effects, ebooks, and even free courses to help skyrocket your career. And at the time of this recording, there's even a link to my new premium course, Step-by-Step Synthesis, as well, if you want to dive in to how to create great and unique sound effects using the Vital synthesizer. All right, that's it for now. Thanks so much for watching. Go pet a dog.